Dorian Adams. Um, just sitting here for a minute, collecting my thoughts and everything. Lately I've been having people asking me to put something out that's, talk about some things that I went through personally, some stuff that a lot of people don't know about me. And, what I come up with is this little situation that I had once upon a time, like a long, long time ago when I was about maybe 10, 11 years old. I was going through a bullying situation. And I had this guy in my neighborhood, man. He was like the king of the neighborhood as far as the kids our age, and you know, uh, he was really and actually a younger version of his older brother, who was about 2 years older than us, who was the king for his age group or whatever. And yeah, this guy, man, he used to take it to me, man. I mean, he owned me. I'll be honest, whatever he wanted to do, he had his way. He could do whatever. He was terrorizing the whole neighborhood, and I fell under his reign of terror. Um, I mean, some of the stuff that would happen, man. I'd be coming out from coming out to play from after school, and like it was whatever. It was if I had some candy, excuse me. Uh, back in the days, the big thing was Now and Laters, Jolly Ranchers, Mike and Ike's, Red Hots, and I would have my little candy or whatever. And if he wanted some, yeah, of course, with everybody else, you'd hand them maybe 2 or 3 pieces of candy. But he want to grab the whole box and then help himself and give you back what he didn't want. Now, my problem with that is my candy. Come on, man. I love my Mike and Ike, my Jolly Ranch, my Now Laters. Man, that dude would just take my Now Laters and eat them right in my face. And wasn't nothing I could do about it. At least I thought it wasn't nothing I could do about it. Tater chips, whatever. He wanted some of my soda. He get the first crack before I even took a sip. He opened my can up and drunk it for me, right? So anyway, long story short, man, we're gonna get up into this thing. This happened for a while. This happened for a while, and the thing of it was, I wasn't the only one. I lived in a set of projects back then, and when school was over, everybody came out to play, and hey, you had to do what you had to do, I guess. And the thing of it was, I was the only child, and so coming outside to play and stuff like that, I was basically winging everything that I knew about life. My whole understanding was based on what I thought, the stuff that I made up in my head, or something I probably saw somebody cool on TV do, or something like that. That was my perception of life. You know, Chips. Eric Estrada, Poncharello. Stuff like that. Those were the guys I thought was cool, or that could handle themselves or whatever. But no real life uh, mentors or um, personas, that were helping me out in these type of situations. So long story short, yeah, this went on for a while, and the thing of it was, if the guy wanted something I had or whatever it was, and I wanted to, hold out or whatever it was, I mean, I was subject to get a smack, kick, whatever, and the thing of it, he was ready if I wanted to buck or had a problem with what was going on, and I wasn't ready to bring him no problems. I was like okay with everything, and that wasn't good. But what ended up happening is that I ended up moving away. I moved away for like a year. I went to school at another school, and the following year I ended up going back to the same school he was in, and when that happened, I saw him at the school and everything, and he was up to the same old tricks. He was the same old guy, doing what he do, you know, free reign, didn't have to answer to nobody. And when I got back to that school and he came at me again, it rubbed me wrong. Like the kids say these days, I felt some type of way, when he came at me sideways. And so I just, it sat with me and sat with me, for a couple of days after our first encounter, and then I decided. I said, man, I can't have this no more, because it was any time he wanted to. It was at school. He if he owns you, he owns you. He could say what he wanted to when he wanted to in front of whoever, and you had to just accept it. Well, I thought I did. Like I said, I thought I did. And don't get me wrong. I even get fired up, and it brings up a little bit of emotion even as I speak about it right now. Even though it happened all those years ago, it really did happen. And that was it was a real um, situation for me to process at that young age. And so, although I've gotten over it, when I revisit that place in my mind, once again I feel some type of way. But yeah, I decided, I was gonna confront this dude. A couple of days went by. Every time I'd be at home, I would be, telling myself how I was gonna confront him and stuff like that. And then finally, the day came that that I was gonna confront him. I went to school. He said something crazy to me. I had told myself, if a dude say something to you, man, you finna say something back. Whatever he say to you, you got to say something back. If he hit you, you got to hit him back. And so all of this was how I calculated what I was gonna do, to get this guy off my back. And when he said something at the school, I said something back. And of course, he always had 2 or 3 people with him, so that was like, man, that was a mega bomb right there dropping, because when they saw me not finna just accept anything that he said, they knew he had to do something else. Unfortunately, it was not the appropriate time or whatever for us to actually have a good fight or clash, and I wasn't that excited about running up on him and just fighting him, but I was convinced that I was gonna stand my ground. So we didn't end up fighting right there. But after school, um, we met up again. It was like, we got to do this, and so we had a little crowd going and stuff like that, and the crowd started getting bigger and bigger, and he came at me, but he didn't come aggressively. He came with the words. He started mouthing off, talking this and that, this, yeah, 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 and I really, I was just like, I clammed up. I'll be honest with you. I went in my shell, and I really wasn't saying nothing. And then so um, he came up, he pushed me. I backed off, and everybody was like, "Man, I thought you wanted to fight and this and that." And so, which I did, but I was just really, it was showtime, and I I had stage fright, I guess. And so he goes on to, start mama talking me, your mama this, your mama that, and then something in the back of my head once again said, "Your mama? My mama? Man, you don't talk about my mama now. Come on." I mean, and then the thing of it is, if I let you talk about my mama like he called himself talking about my mama, I was gonna have to live with that, because it would seem like the whole school was walking home with us that day. They wanted to see this. I had some people on my side. Get him, Dorian. Get him. Don't let him talk about your mama. And that was my so-called support side, but I think they just really wanted to see me get my butt whooped, because I didn't even have a win-loss column to speak on, wins or losses. And this dude had nothing but wins on his resume. So I think they just wanted to see me get my butt whooped. But I didn't do nothing right then. And then we walked. We walked up the block. It was a pretty long block, neighborhood block, until we had to turn going towards our houses. And as we walked, I mean, of course, this is what happened. I was walking with my crowd in the middle of the street, and him and his crowd was walking on the sidewalk, because I guess he had, preference. He wanted to walk on the sidewalk. So basically, if I walked on the sidewalk, that meant I wanted to do something. So it's just funny how it played out. But yeah, I was walking in the street, and so when we got up to this little clearing where we had to cross this parking lot, it was me and him in the front. He was in front of his crowd. I was in front of my crowd. And the thing was, as we walked across that parking lot, our paths were in a collision course to cross. And of course, when we got close enough, I just reached out and pushed him with all my might. Right. And so that it was on then because I hadn't made an aggressive move the whole time. Now when I did that, he comes back, stands up or whatever, and we start swinging. Now I'm gonna tell you something. In my estimation of neighborhood fights, school fights when I was growing up, the key things you could do to claim victory was to give somebody a black eye, bloody nose, busted lip, put them in a headlock, body slam them, stuff like that. And through the course of this fight, this guy actually body slammed me, had me in a headlock, put me in a full Nelson, right? And although I didn't have no black eyes or nothing like that, this is some of the stuff that he did to me. Now, I gave him some good licks, and so, I felt okay about the whole situation because, like, once somebody broke it up, and then we had to back off, but it was like, if you want some, you can come get some more because it really ain't over. Everybody fired up right now. But something I did to him made him want to think twice, and he went on and started walking in the direction of his house, right? So, the whole moral of the story, the whole gist of what I got out of that, what I actually learned and I lean on to this day from that situation is that when I decided to face my fears, whether they was real or imagined, and this is the same thing for me right now today, when I decided to face my fears, then I actually begin to live life in a more full, more abundant way, right? Because when I'm basically in a mental prison, I'm hostage to my own thoughts. If I sit there and think that I can't do this and I can't do that, I can't defeat this. This certain thing is holding me back, it's holding me down. The weight or the pressure or the burden of the situation is stopping me from flourishing and growing. So I'm here to tell you that that's all in your mind. Just like it was all in my mind. All of the amazing and profound things I thought this guy was capable of was all in my mind. And when I confronted him about what was going on with me, then I liberated myself. I freed myself from my own self-made prison. And I was allowed to walk in confidence with my head up so I didn't no longer ever have to be worried about being ran over, being trampled upon, on call. When this guy came around, he just felt like he had some stuff to get off of his chest. So that's what I got out of that. Face your fears and live.